August 1944, Naval Base Subic Bay, Philippines. The white rice steamed in the pot as Japanese Imperial Navy cook Seaman Hiroshi Tanaka stirred it methodically, muscles tensed with each rotation of the wooden paddle. After 3 years creating precise bento boxes for officers, he knew the critical timing, when grains would soften perfectly without becoming glutinous. An American Marine lieutenant approached, gesturing to Tanaka through the makeshift prison kitchen doorway. "Cook," the lieutenant called through an interpreter. "We need meals prepared for 23 Korean women, starting now." Tanaka froze mid-stir. The interpreter clarified further. "Former comfort women. The lieutenant says they need proper nutrition. Medical reports show severe malnourishment." The wooden paddle slipped momentarily in Tanaka's grip. Comfort women, Ianfu, receiving the same carefully prepared rice he had reserved exclusively for officers. The concept violated every hierarchical principle instilled throughout his naval career. These women were meant to receive only minimal sustenance. 100 calories daily, primarily plain congee with occasional vegetable scraps, according to Imperial Navy regulations for special comfort establishments. Across the Pacific Theater that August, American forces had liberated 217 comfort stations, housing approximately 1,358 women, primarily Korean, but including Chinese, Filipino, and Indonesian captives. Medical reports documented systematic starvation. Average weight 83 pounds among Korean women, previously averaging 110 pounds before captivity. Protein deficiency, rickets, and advanced malnutrition characterized 89% of examined comfort women. Tanaka's hesitation reflected deeper cultural dissonance. Imperial military doctrine classified comfort women as military supplies. Categorized alongside ammunition and fuel in requisition documents recovered from Japanese command posts. The Imperial Army Manual, Regulations for Comfort Stations, discovered in the Philippines, explicitly prohibited wasting nutrition on comfort personnel beyond maintenance requirements. Comfort station commanders routinely received commendations for resource efficiency, military terminology for minimal feeding. "The women will receive the same rations as any civilian under our protection," the American lieutenant continued, displaying unfathomable generosity in Tanaka's understanding. 3 meals daily, minimum 2,200 calories, including adequate protein. The American commissary provided ingredients that seemed impossibly lavish: 5 pounds of beef, 12 eggs, vegetables, milk powder, 8 cans of fruit, and sugar. These supplies exceeded monthly provisions for an entire comfort station under Japanese administration. Tanaka's training had taught him that hierarchical nutrition reinforced proper social order. Officers received meat, comfort women received gruel. This natural hierarchy maintained discipline. Yet these Americans were dismantling this order with casual abundance. "Our medical officers say these women need protein and vitamins immediately," the lieutenant added. "Their medical conditions require proper nutrition." The fundamental dissonance crystallized in that moment. Americans viewed these women as patients requiring care, while imperial doctrine classified them as expendable resources. This conceptual gulf between care and maintenance reflected incompatible worldviews. According to later testimony to Allied war crimes investigators, Tanaka and 11 other captured Japanese cooks experienced profound confusion when ordered to prepare nourishing meals for former comfort women. Their military training had systematically dehumanized these women through controlled starvation. The sudden requirement to nourish rather than deprive introduced cognitive dissonance that would ultimately crack the foundation of their ideological conditioning. What began as bewilderment in a Philippine prison kitchen would evolve into fundamental re-examination of humanity and hierarchy. The simple act of preparing nutritious meals for women previously classified as expendable would initiate transformation more profound than American re-education programs could achieve. The mathematics of compassion were being written in rice and vegetables, in protein and vitamins, revealing an American humanitarian capacity that rendered Japanese military dehumanization not strategic necessity, but moral failure. The Comfort Women system began in 1932, when Japanese military planners implemented comfort stations to prevent incidents of mass rape that had damaged Japan's international standing during the Shanghai incident. Imperial Army documents, later captured by Allied forces, revealed calculating logistics. 1 comfort woman per 30 soldiers in rear positions, 1 per 70 soldiers at front lines. By 1945, approximately 200,000 women had been forced into sexual slavery across Japanese-occupied territories, with 80% recruited from Korea through deception, abduction, or economic coercion. Military procurement records classified these women under code designation Class C military supplies, a category sharing documentation formats with ammunition and fuel requisitions. Japanese military cooking traditions reflected rigid hierarchy. Navy cook training manuals recovered from Sasebo Naval Base showed precise nutritional allocations. Officers received 3,200 daily calories, including meat, white rice, vegetables, and occasional Western-influenced dishes. Enlisted personnel received 2,700 calories with limited meat. Korean laborers received 1,800 calories, primarily from barley rice and pickled vegetables. Comfort women ranked lowest, allocated 1,100 calories from rice porridge and vegetable scraps, with protein deliberately limited to prevent excessive energy that might reduce compliance, according to a 1942 medical directive from Imperial headquarters. American forces first documented comfort stations during the Philippines campaign. Lieutenant Colonel James Williams recorded in his February 1944 field report, discovered facility housing 28 Korean females in severely malnourished condition. Local commander reports these women served as recreation for approximately 120 soldiers weekly. Medical examination reveals systematic starvation and abuse. Williams' subsequent memorandum to Pacific Command recommended immediate nutritional intervention and humane treatment protocols distinct from prisoner-of-war regulations. The American military government established specific policies for liberated comfort women by June 1944. General Order 107-44 specified, "Women recovered from enemy comfort stations shall receive medical care, nutritional rehabilitation, and humanitarian protection pending repatriation. Such individuals are classified as protected civilians under emerging occupation protocols." This classification granted them caloric allocations of 2,200 daily minimum, including meat protein 3 times weekly, fresh vegetables when available, and milk supplementation for severe malnutrition cases. Medical records from the 4th Field Hospital, Leyte, documented the physical condition of liberated Korean comfort women. Average weight 83 pounds for women previously averaging 110 pounds. Hemoglobin levels averaging 8.2 Gr/dl versus normal 12 to 15 Gr/dl. Vitamin deficiencies manifesting as beriberi, pellagra, and scurvy. Dental deterioration from calcium deficiency. Army physician Captain Robert Simmons noted, "These women exhibit malnutrition patterns deliberately induced through calculated food restriction. This represents weaponized starvation as a control mechanism." The contrast between Japanese military feeding practices and American rehabilitation protocols created fundamental dissonance for captured cooks. Navy cook Petty Officer Masato Kojima later testified to occupation authorities, "We were trained to provide minimal sustenance to comfort women, just enough to prevent death but insufficient for strength or resistance. Americans demanded we provide recovery nutrition at levels reserved for officers. This contradiction was impossible to reconcile with our training." American quartermasters allocated supplies for comfort women recovery centers at rates matching civilian rehabilitation centers. Weekly ration sheets from Tacloban Recovery Center showed 35 pounds beef, 42 pounds pork, 150 pounds rice, 120 pounds vegetables, 45 pounds sugar, 30 pounds dried fruit, 50 pounds powdered milk, 14 pounds cooking oil. These allocations, approximately 2,500 calories per woman daily, represented resource commitment incomprehensible within Japanese military hierarchy, where such provisions would have been reserved exclusively for senior officers. Food requisition patterns revealed profoundly different value systems. Japanese military rationing prioritized combat effectiveness through nutritional hierarchy, while American rehabilitation protocols emphasized universal human recovery, regardless of nationality, social position, or former enemy status. These contrasting approaches to food distribution reflected incompatible understandings of human worth, one conditional on military utility, the other recognizing inherent dignity requiring nourishment regardless of background. The Japanese military kitchen operated on strict hierarchy that mirrored society itself. Army cook Tadashi Ito, captured on Saipan, explained through an interpreter. "In our kitchens, food tells your place. Officers eat first, best portions. Enlisted men eat second, simpler food. Korean laborers eat last, mostly rice and soup." This system extended beyond mere practicality. It reinforced the natural order as imperial doctrine defined it. Documentation recovered from Tojo's headquarters revealed explicit instructions. Food distribution reinforces proper respect for authority. Maintains strict differentiation between officer and enlisted meals to preserve discipline. American kitchens shocked captured Japanese cooks. When Seaman Tanaka first witnessed the American mess hall system, he reportedly stood motionless for several minutes. Private Jones from rural Nebraska received identical portions to Lieutenant Miller from Boston. Even more incomprehensible, African-American soldiers ate the same meals as white officers. This culinary democracy directly contradicted everything the Japanese cooks had been taught about proper social order. The sheer abundance of American supplies created further dissonance. Quartermaster records show each American base in the Pacific received weekly 400 pounds of beef, 900 pounds of chicken, 200 pounds of vegetables, 600 cans of fruit, 300 pounds of butter, 250 gallons of ice cream mix. When directed to prepare meals for liberated Korean women, Japanese cooks found themselves handling more protein in a single day than they would allocate to comfort women monthly under imperial regulations. "First time I show Japanese cook how much meat for Korean women, he think I'm making mistake," recalled Staff Sergeant Mike Donovan, mess supervisor at Guam Naval Hospital. "He keep pointing at meat saying, 'Officer? Officer?' I tell him, 'No, for Korean girls.' He just shake his head like I'm crazy." This confusion appeared consistently across Pacific recovery centers where captured Japanese cooks encountered American nutritional standards. Language barriers complicated the cultural collision. At Clark Field Recovery Center, Army translator Corporal James Tanaka documented the difficult conversations. Japanese cooks say, "Women no need meat, make too strong." American sergeants say, "Women need protein to recover." Japanese cook confused. Recovery not part of his thinking for these women. Medical rehabilitation concepts simply lacked equivalent terminology in the Japanese military lexicon regarding comfort women. Military documents reveal Japanese cooks initially requested clarification about food hierarchy. At Ulithi Atoll Recovery Center, captured cook Yamamoto submitted a formal question through interpreters. "Please specify which Korean women receive meat portions based on rank or status." The American response, "All receive equal nutrition based on medical needs," reportedly left Yamamoto visibly confused. The concept that nutritional allocation would follow medical requirements rather than social position violated fundamental principles of imperial military culture. Food preparation itself revealed cultural divides. Japanese military cooking emphasized presentation for officers, while comfort women received food in collective buckets with no individual servings. American protocols required individual trays, proper place settings, and standardized portions regardless of status. This physical arrangement of food service, each person receiving their own dignified plate, embodied democratic principles that contradicted Japanese hierarchical values. The transformation began through hands and ingredients rather than ideology. Japanese cooks trained in precise knife work and presentation found themselves applying these skills for women they had been taught to view as expendable. Army psychologist Captain Richard Matthews observed this process at Leyte Recovery Center. The Japanese cooks initially segregated their techniques, using proper cutting methods only for American officers. Within 2 weeks, they began applying these same careful preparations for Korean patients without prompting. Documentation from recovery centers shows steadily increasing meal quality. Initial meals prepared by Japanese cooks for comfort women averaged 1,800 calories with minimal preparation. By week 4, these meals reached 2,400 calories, with improved presentation, preparation time increasing from 45 minutes to 2 hours 15 minutes per meal service. American observers noted this change wasn't mandated. The Japanese cooks gradually applied their full culinary training to these meals without specific orders to do so. The transformation occurred through daily food preparation rather than formal re-education. Japanese cooks confronting American abundance and egalitarian distribution couldn't maintain their hierarchical worldview when preparing nutritious meals for women previously deemed unworthy of care. By October 1944, the Japanese cooks at Tacloban Recovery Center had established a cooking routine that would have been unimaginable 3 months earlier. Breakfast featured rice porridge with eggs, fish, and pickled vegetables, a meal once reserved exclusively for officers. Lunch consisted of miso soup, vegetable dishes, and protein supplementation. Dinner included rice with fish or meat, vegetable side dishes, and occasionally fruit. This menu, documented in recovered kitchen logs, represented 2,800 daily calories, more than double what these women had received in comfort stations. The transformation occurred dish by dish, meal by meal. Navy cook Ichiro Nakamura, initially resistant to preparing officer-grade meals for comfort women, experienced his turning point while making okayu rice porridge. The American doctor showed me medical charts of the Korean women, he later recounted to occupation authorities. Their bones were visible through skin. The doctor said good rice porridge would help them digest better first, then stronger foods later. I understood then. This was not political, but medical. Cooking became my medicine for them. Medical records confirm this nutritional intervention produced measurable results. By December 1944, Korean women at Tacloban had gained an average of 11.8 pounds. Hemoglobin levels increased from 8.2 gdl to 10.7 gdl. Cases of beriberi decreased by 76%. Captain Samuel Morrison, medical director, noted, "The improvement in physical condition correlates directly with improved nutrition." The turning point came when the Japanese cooks began applying their full culinary skills rather than merely following American orders. The Korean women themselves noted this transformation. Survivor testimonies collected by Army intelligence in early 1945 documented their observations. 23-year-old Sunja from Busan stated, "At first, the Japanese cooks would not look at us when serving food. They placed bowls on tables and left quickly. After weeks, one cook asked if the soup needed more salt." It was the first time any Japanese person had asked what I wanted in 3 years. Not all Japanese cooks adapted easily. Military police records show 3 incidents of deliberate food sabotage at Mindoro Recovery Center, where one cook attempted to serve spoiled fish to Korean patients. This resistance illustrated the depth of indoctrination some cooks maintained. However, records show 87% of Japanese cooks eventually participated fully in the nutrition program, many exceeding American expectations for meal quality. The psychological shift manifested in small gestures, first documented in February 1945. At Cebu Recovery Center, cook Tanaka began creating omelette rolls with the women's names written in sauce, a personalized presentation previously reserved for high-ranking officers. At Leyte, cook Matsumoto carved vegetables into decorative shapes for Korean patients. These presentations represented more than aesthetic choices. They acknowledged individual humanity that imperial doctrine had systematically denied. One particularly powerful transformation occurred at Manila Recovery Hospital. Cook Sergeant Kenji Sato, formerly assigned to General Yamashita's headquarters, initially refused to prepare special meals for diabetic Korean patients, claiming such medical accommodation exceeded appropriate care for comfort women. 3 weeks later, medical logs show Sato voluntarily creating specialized low-sugar dishes after witnessing a patient's insulin reaction. When questioned by the American nutritionist, Sato reportedly answered, "She is sick. I am a cook." This is proper. Comparative nutrition statistics tell the story of transformation. Initial meals prepared by Japanese cooks in August 1944 averaged 1,800 calories, 45 g protein, limited fresh vegetables, minimal preparation time. By March 1945, these same cooks produced meals averaging 2,900 calories, 82 g protein, diverse vegetables, complex preparation techniques. This improvement wasn't mandated by American authorities, but emerged through the cooks' gradual recommitment to their culinary training. The most profound connections formed through specific dishes. Army translator Corporal Tanaka documented conversations between Korean survivors and Japanese cooks discussing regional specialties and childhood favorites. These culinary exchanges, impossible within the dehumanizing comfort station system, created moments of connection transcending enemy status. Food became the language through which former perpetrators and victims could communicate beyond political barriers. By spring 1945, American medical staff reported an unexpected development. Several Japanese cooks requested permission to learn Korean cooking techniques to provide more familiar flavors for recovering women. This reversal, Japanese military personnel seeking to accommodate Korean preferences rather than impose Japanese standards, represented complete inversion of the imperial hierarchy that had structured their previous relationship. The cooking program expanded throughout the Pacific as American forces established additional recovery centers in the Philippines, Okinawa, and eventually mainland Japan. Military records document 27 facilities operating by August 1945, housing 1,742 former comfort women, with 78 captured Japanese cooks providing meals. This systematic approach to rehabilitation through nutrition became standard procedure, formalized in Directive 1092-45, Nutritional Recovery Program for Victims of Enemy Exploitation. The document specified utilization of captured enemy culinary personnel when appropriate, bureaucratic language for the profound cultural transformation occurring in these kitchens. The International Red Cross documented this unusual arrangement in their July 1945 inspection report. American authorities have implemented an unprecedented rehabilitation model, utilizing Japanese military cooks to prepare therapeutic meals for Korean victims of sexual enslavement. This arrangement, while initially controversial, appears effective both nutritionally and psychologically. Red Cross medical observer Dr. Heinrich Müller noted, "The meal preparation appears to provide therapeutic benefit for both parties, proper nutrition for the women and moral rehabilitation for the cooks." Personal accounts preserved in Army intelligence files reveal the program's human dimension. Former comfort woman Mija from Seoul testified, "For 3 years, no Japanese person saw me as human. The first sign of change was when a Japanese cook noticed I couldn't eat spicy food because of mouth sores from malnutrition. The next day, he prepared a separate mild porridge for me. This small act of seeing my individual needs meant more than any official apology." These individualized accommodations, impossible within the dehumanizing comfort station system, represented the first recognition of personhood many women had experienced since their abduction. Long-term health outcomes documented by military medical staff showed remarkable improvement. Women participating in the nutrition program for 6 months demonstrated average weight gain of 18.2 pounds, hemoglobin increases to normal range, resolution of edema in 94% of cases, dental health improvement in 72% of patients, psychological improvement measured through standardized assessments. Navy Physician Commander Robert Peterson observed, "The improved physical condition correlates directly with social re-engagement and psychological recovery." The contrast with Soviet handling of comfort women in Manchuria provided stark comparison. When Soviet forces captured comfort stations in August 1945, they typically executed Japanese personnel and provided minimal support to Korean victims. Testimony from survivors who encountered both American and Soviet liberators highlighted the difference. Former comfort woman Yongja stated, "The Russians gave us freedom but little food. The Americans gave us food that healed our bodies, prepared by the same Japanese who had starved us. This strange medicine worked better." Japanese cooks returning to Japan after repatriation carried their transformed perspectives. Interviews conducted by occupation authorities in 1948-1949 revealed that many continued working as cooks, often in hospitals or schools. Former Navy cook Tanaka, who initially resisted preparing meals for comfort women, opened a small restaurant in Yokohama that employed 2 Korean residents, an arrangement unimaginable before his experience in American custody. When asked why he hired Koreans, Tanaka reportedly answered, "Cooking taught me to see them as people." American authorities incorporated these experiences into early occupation policies. The Democratic Nutrition Program implemented in occupied Japan emphasized equal food distribution regardless of social status, a direct challenge to Japanese hierarchical traditions. General MacArthur's staff included nutrition officers who would supervise the comfort women recovery centers, applying similar principles to civilian food policies. Major William Hollister, who had overseen the Tacloban Recovery Kitchen, helped draft school lunch programs that deliberately equalized nutrition across social classes. Testimonies from both comfort women and Japanese cooks decades later confirmed the program's lasting impact. In a 1985 documentary interview, former comfort woman Park Soon-yi stated, "The first Japanese person who showed me humanity was a cook who had been captured by Americans. He apologized while serving me rice with an egg on top, something that would have been forbidden before. This small meal meant more than government statements 50 years later." Former cook Matsumoto, interviewed in 1992, reflected, "Americans forced me to feed women I had been taught to see as beneath human concern. Through preparing their meals, I discovered my own humanity that imperial training had removed. Making healthy food for them healed something in me that was also broken." 60 years after liberation, former Imperial Navy cook Hiroshi Tanaka sat across from Soo-jin Kim at a small restaurant in Seoul. The elderly Korean woman carefully picked up her chopsticks, taking a small bite of the delicately prepared egg dish. "You still make it the same way," she observed quietly. This 2004 meeting, documented by Korean filmmaker Park Jin-sung, represented the culmination of an unlikely connection first formed in a recovery center kitchen in 1944. Tanaka, now 83, had traveled from Japan specifically to prepare this meal, the same dish he had first created for malnourished comfort women 6 decades earlier. This remarkable reunion was one of 17 documented cases where Japanese cooks maintained contact with the Korean women they had once fed in American recovery centers. These connections, initially formed through food preparation, evolved into correspondence that spanned decades. Letters preserved in the Seoul National University archives reveal this unusual dialogue between former enemies. Cook Matsumoto wrote to former comfort woman Lee Myung-ja in 1967. "I still remember how you taught me that Korean people prefer more garlic in kimchi than Japanese people use. This small knowledge helped me understand that seeing others clearly begins with respecting their preferences. This lesson changed my approach to everyone I meet." These personal connections preceded formal reconciliation efforts by decades. While the Japanese government maintained official denial of comfort women's experiences until 1993, these individual relationships acknowledged harsh truths through small human interactions. Former cook Yamamoto testified at a 1992 public hearing in Tokyo, "I witnessed the physical condition of Korean women when Americans captured our position. Their malnourishment was systematic, not wartime shortage, but deliberate policy. When I prepared proper meals for them under American supervision, I participated in acknowledging this crime through corrective action rather than empty words. The cultural significance of food as a reconciliation emerged as a documented pattern. A 2007 study by Osaka University identified 31 former Japanese military cooks who established Korean restaurants in Japan between 1950 and 1970. Researcher Dr. Keiko Tanaka observed, "These men, transformed through their experience feeding former comfort women, created cultural bridges through food when political dialogue remained impossible. Their restaurants became unofficial spaces for Japanese-Korean connection outside government frameworks. These small acts of culinary reconciliation contrasted sharply with formal diplomatic failures. While Japanese and Korean governments remained deadlocked over official apologies and compensation, former cook Suzuki Toshio established a scholarship program that supported 27 Korean women's education between 1965 and 1988. When interviewed about his motivation, Suzuki explained, "Preparing food for these women showed me that nourishment is more meaningful than apology. Education, like proper meals, builds strength rather than merely acknowledging past weakness. The transformation through food service created multi-generational impact. Children of Japanese cooks frequently reported their fathers changed perspective after returning from American custody." Tanaka's daughter Yumiko recalled, "My father insisted our family never use hierarchy language about Koreans or other Asians. When I asked why, he would only say, 'I learned this lesson through cooking.'" It was years before he explained his experience in the recovery centers. August 2019, Yokohama, Japan. 84-year-old Soon-hee Park sat at a small restaurant counter as the chef placed a bowl of carefully prepared egg custard before her. The chef, Akira Tanaka, was the grandson of cook Hiroshi Tanaka. This third-generation connection, documented in NHK's Reconciliation Through Food documentary, demonstrated how relationships initially forced by American military necessity evolved into genuine human bonds spanning decades. The younger Tanaka had maintained his grandfather's recipe specifically for visiting comfort women survivors. This unlikely legacy, Japanese cooks maintaining culinary connections with former comfort women, represents history's quietest reconciliation. What began as shocked resistance to American orders evolved into recognition of shared humanity through daily food preparation. The transformation occurred not through formal declarations, but through the intimate act of nourishing those previously deemed unworthy of care. The white rice steaming in the pot, the carefully sliced vegetables, the precisely grilled fish, these ordinary elements of meals became extraordinary agents of human recognition. Former Imperial Navy cook Matsumoto reflected in his 1998 memoir, "Americans forced me to see Korean comfort women as deserving nourishment equal to officers. This compelled recognition of their humanity gradually revealed the moral failure of a system that had taught me to withhold food based on nationality and status. Preparing meals for these women healed something in me that military defeat alone could not reach." These Japanese military cooks, initially stunned when Americans ordered them to feed enemy comfort girls, ultimately discovered that food preparation could reconcile what politics could not. Their story reminds us that transformation often occurs not through grand gestures, but through daily acts of service, in the simple, profound act of preparing nourishing meals for those previously denied both food and humanity.